Hello, welcome to a special series of Art Pays Me interviews with the winners of the 2024 Creative Nova Scotia Awards. Presented annually by Arts Nova Scotia and the Creative Nova Scotia Leadership Council, these awards celebrate artistic excellence across Mi'kmaq. Award categories are as follows: Creative Community Impact, Prix Grand Prix, Established Artist, Emerging Artist, Black Artist, Indigenous Artist, and finally the Portia White Prize that is given to a person who has made outstanding and significant contributions to Nova Scotia's creative community over a sustained career, much like the incredible woman that the award is named after. The winner will also choose an emerging artist or cultural organization that they feel deserve recognition. Collectively, the awards are worth $75,000. Visit artsns.ca to nominate your favorite Nova Scotia artist or nominate yourself. This series would not be possible without the fantastic production work of Heist and Kiki Beats. On this episode, I chat with Emerging Artist Recognition Award winner Lux Gow-Habrich. So, Lux, thank you for welcoming us into your studio space. This is it's been amazing to meet you finally. We've kind of known each other for a while on Instagram. So it's just like putting a face to all the work and stuff like that. So that's cool. But before we get into this, can you state your name, your pronouns, and your artistic mediums?
Right. So my name is Lux Gow-Habrich. I use she and they pronouns. I am an interdisciplinary artist. I would say heavily focused in ceramics and textiles, but I think the common thread is I'm very body based. So whether that's like responding through my body to movement or to material, I think that's the common thread.
Yeah. That's interesting. I want to dig into that. Body based, responding to movement.
Yeah.
Would you describe that as intuitive and maybe like, okay, today I feel a certain mood or feel a certain way, my body is telling me this? Is that kind of what you mean?
Absolutely. I identify as disabled artist, so I have inherited and acquired disabilities, and so as I know many folks do that don't identify necessarily with those labels, but it it kind of guides the way that I show up in the world and thus the way that I'm able to make. And so I'm constantly responding to my capacities at any given time, and what my body's allowing me to do. Yeah. So it's about listening and responding.
So that kind of goes into something else I was wondering about. Like you were in a near fatal car crash in 2019.
Yes, I was.
Yeah. I was gonna say, how does that impact your practice? But I mean, kind of.
So a funny story. I was driving across Turtle Island to go. I built a crate for a ceramic piece to go show.
Yeah.
And then I got in this awful accident. And I ended up breaking my shoulder, my collarbone, and the work was okay. The ceramic fragile work was okay. And I, through a long journey of recovery, was as well. But I think, making is such an active form of survival for me. And so, in order to heal, to move through that, I just found different ways of making, right? So clay, which is can be very, very rigorous on the body. Textiles is slow and it can be small and is also something that I delved in heavily over the pandemic with restrictions of mobility. Yeah, to be able to go into the studio. So.
Right. So that's like something we talked about kind of before everything started. Is this idea of multidisciplinary practice and being flexible, being able to adjust as things happen to us. If you had, because sometimes like we as artists, we get stuck in this thing where people are saying, oh, you're not focused if you're doing this and you're doing that. But like in this sense, like you kind of naturally gravitated towards what was working for you in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's intuitive. It is, right? It's like I have to keep going. And I think that's probably the core thing that has led me to be where I am in my practice is you just keep doing it. and without judgment too. You just have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And that's why I refer to it as a body-based thing, because my body knows what to do and how to respond. And so sometimes I have to get my head out of the way to just keep doing the thing, and it manifests somehow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So with that said, is there a particular work that you're most proud of? And I mean, maybe it could be even per medium, I guess, even too.
So what comes to mind is a series that I had dreamt up for a long time, because I often will dream up a work, but I don't quite have the words or the understanding about why.
Mhm.
And then, and this happens with many projects at once. They kind of like cross over in kind of sparse ways.
Yeah.
And then they kind of come out very slowly through acts of doing. But in 2020, during the pandemic, I couldn't come into my ceramic studio anymore, and I started beading. And I was still very much in recovery from my accident. And so I was working small and I was beading. And then I started researching the history of Chinese beading, and different symbologies, and then really looking at or having an interest in general already about cultural objects. So their ability to kind of to express an identity, so that objects we surround ourselves with in our worlds communicate something about ourselves, but those objects also help us solidify an identity. So it goes out and in. And so, I became really interested in objects, ritual objects, objects of transformation, objects of agency. And so the series called Ritual Objects of Disordered and Displaced Bodies, thinking about, the intersections that I live at. So like queerness, disability, also being in the diaspora, and thinking about empowerment and objects. And that started slowly. And then it really grew to, I recognized in my research that I'm one lived perspective at all these intersections, right? And it became all of a sudden very important to communicate, be in discussion with others about the intersections that they live at, whether similar, like how it shows up in their life. And so then I started making objects inspired by other people's lived experiences. And so really recognizing like research methods, different methods that involve a lot of care when you're working with other people's valuable stories, right?
Yeah.
Because that's very sensitive too, right? Like it's different than working with my own. So I started developing ways of like, how do I cherish somebody's story? I take them out for a meal, right? Like how do I gift back and honor their stories through my work? And now that piece, so it's had many iterations. I'm scanning those objects into 3D objects, new media piece that I'm working on, so that these ritual object series can be played with online.
Oh, cool.
So thinking about access once again, like how are ways that people can find entry points into my practice. Yeah.
That's got me thinking now. So like we see all these sort of virtual environments coming up too. So I mean, you make these 3D objects that can be interacted with in these different worlds too. That could be.
That my thoughts are like, especially around ceramic, right? Because
Yeah.
it's so fragile. And then often I'm also thinking about access all the time, especially being disabled. I'm thinking about different ways that people can interact with works. And because it's so fragile, and I have a fragile body, I see clay and body, they overlap. But, could I have these pieces that folks can shatter online and rebuild?
Yeah.
And, right? Like to really play with what fragility means, with what agency means, with interaction, relationality. Like what do these things mean in an online space? So we'll see where that work is going. I'm very, very deep in that right now, constructing what that means and what that feels like. And then also in conversations around, similarly, like if you're working with other people and other people's stories, like how do you still offer people agency, right?
Yeah.
When they're interacting. and yeah, like what is the offering
Right.
that I'm giving? Yeah.
Cool. So, like many of us in the art space and creative people, we're very philosophical people. We get like very cerebral at times and stuff like that. I know that you study psychology a bit.
For a bit, yeah.
But is there a point in time where you decided you wanted to be an artist?
I think it was always going to happen. Like it was so undeniable, I think, for me. And I, growing up in a Chinese German second generation household was, I wasn't encouraged to go into the arts, right? And so I think I found many other avenues that were fulfilling, but ironically, I think I still consider those fields very creative, and that involved working with people, working with marginalized communities, working with disabled folks, working in support roles. And I think it takes an immense amount of creativity to be really present and adaptable with people. And so, I was pursuing the creative art therapies route for a while, especially because it is something that offers me so much. So I kind of wanted to give back out.
Yeah.
And in a way, I'm still doing those two things because I think my practice too is heavily community based.
Sure.
A lot of it's behind the scenes too that folks don't get to see, which I kind of love too, right? Like artists we do so much in community, and we don't always have our name behind it, but just trying to like be generous when we can, because there's so many obstacles for folks that want to get into this field, and I'm so fortunate to do what I do, and how do we make this more accessible for other folks that need that too to survive, to keep going.
Yeah. So I guess I'll go here. So I mean, I have a little bit of neurodivergence happening myself. My daughter is neurodivergent, and I was curious how you feel. Any advice you would have for someone who's neurodivergent, who wants to have a career in arts, like
right.
How do they make themselves fit into a world that doesn't always fit them, like as you've found ways to do?
I mean, I am found like-minded folks.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I'm here today, doing my practice. This is why I've had, successes, to be able to continue to do my practice, is because I've met folks that believe in the importance of gathering, witnessing, transforming the world. Like, creativity allows us to imagine different futures, and I think, and like it can feel so isolating, I think, especially being a visual artist. I talk to other artists, like in theater or dance, and folks that like work in cohorts or with groups of people, but I think I constantly have to remind myself that this is generative. Other people, like, this is how we make the best work. This is how we like, all of our stories are interconnected, and we just have to, like, it's so vulnerable, especially when you're told that you're unwanted, because your neurotype isn't valued, but like, there's space for you.
Community, find community even when it's sort of not obviously available at times.
It's always there. There's always some other weirdo.
Right.
There's always someone else with your interests, with your passion, with your curiosity.
Exactly. It's good advice.
Yeah.
Is there, I mean, I kind of got a sense of, you said this already, but I'm curious if there's something deeper that's pushing you, some kind of ingredient that's making you want to make the work you do.
Well, it started just as a form of survival, right? But it's grown to be the biggest gift for me personally. But I see how it is for others too, right? it's almost like a portal of connection. Yeah, it allows us to find commonalities where maybe we wouldn't usually. And I think like how valuable that is. You know, I see so much, especially in our communities, folks that in fact have a lot of commonality in a lot of conflict.
Yeah.
And it's hard to witness, right? There's so much scarcity, and it's also deeply felt when maybe it isn't necessarily always there, but yeah.
I'm curious, as someone who's multidisciplinary, your creative process could probably change depending on the day. I'm like, but you're also a professional artist, so then there has to be a certain repeatable process or something you have to kind of do to, I don't know. So when you decide today, how does it work when you wake up? I mean, you said it's pretty intuitive, but like, you'd be like, okay, today is going to be a textile day. Today is gonna be...
Oh my gosh. It's like the biggest parameters, I think, that help me find some structure is a dedication to time.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm going to go do this for this amount of time. And it may not end up in the way that I, sometimes hope it goes, but really just having trust that that's part of the process. If my body's not going to allow me to do that today, then there's something else valuable in that. That means maybe it's telling me I need to slow down and something else is going to come today. But it's the dedication to keep making and just trust, like have faith that it will make sense if you keep doing and keep doing and keep doing and keep doing. Yeah.
I think I needed to hear that today.
I need to hear that all the time. Like, even when, because I certainly am like, oh man, like everything feels like too much sometimes, and you're just ready to stop. But in fact, like that stopping, at least for me, it brings me to a really isolated place. And so it's the, days when I'm really struggling and I don't even, when I'm not having faith in what I'm doing, I'll show up here and I'll see, these sweet faces of my studio mates or other creatives that really just understand the struggle and can just be together in that. And then usually my day ends up better.
Let's get to it.
Yeah.
So what is having this or receiving this award mean to you?
I get very shy. I'm not very good at accepting credit. But it feels pretty incredible to feel some love back when I've been putting a lot of love into community, I think. And I'm a little bit in disbelief. But I'm just so grateful, to be able to live this life, to do what I love to do and know that being told by people that it resonates with them,
Yeah, well, it's well deserved. I want you to know that for sure. The other thing I want to know is how is living and creating in Nova Scotia, how's that impacted your work?
I think here there's such a tightness of community, and I've built family here, and you can't really even put that into words, right? And there's such a safety and reassurance built into that, and I truly don't think we can make good work unless we have that.
Yeah.
And so I credit the depth of the criticality, so the ways that I can really push maybe vulnerable things and ask really intense questions, all those things come from a really solid, safe place, and that's because I've been held here by community.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. Is there anything that you want to get into that maybe we didn't talk about?
Mm. I'm not sure. We talked about so much prior to the video. What else? Yeah. I guess my relationship with like Mi'kma'ki as well. You know, being here for so long and working in mediums that are very slow and very body based. I feel like I've built very intense relationships with the mediums I'm working with here. And I don't think that would have happened necessarily in other places that are faster paced or more densely populated. I feel like here I was able to really to understand the ancient, like the origins of clay and its use and fiber and its use and the proximity in our everyday lives. And there's something so like it's supremely incredible, really, to be in such close relationship with these mediums. And I don't think that would have happened somewhere else. Yeah. So it's, you know, this place has impacted the future of my practice. Yeah. Undoubtedly. Yeah.
So actually there's something, again, selfishly, I've been obsessed with lately. Is the international art market. Are you conscious of that and maybe the limitations we face, even as Canadians, period? And because you don't see that much Canadian participation.
Right.
Turtle Island, well, I guess United States, they're in the art market, but north, you don't see us in there very much. Is that something you're conscious of?
It hasn't crossed my mind too much. I think I've been very zoomed into the local, at least when I make, especially because I'm working so deeply in community that I'm super enmeshed, I think, with seeing the hardships and struggles like on a very zoomed in level. Yeah. But I mean, I think about that, and I think about the kinds of mediums that folks want on an international scale, and that makes me a little bit sour. I think about like the mediums that I'm drawn to, so craft-based mediums. They're also just not valued in the same way because they're slow and they tend to be small and very close to domestic life and have histories of gendered work. So I've kind of shut down maybe it's not on my radar in very intense ways. But I mean, especially this residency I'm doing that is focused on access, the Asian diaspora and new media. Yeah. It's forcing all kinds of conversations about what is the future, I think, of art making, art processes internationally. Yeah. At least in a digital realm. Yeah. Which inadvertently affects everything in our real world too, right? So yeah. All right. It's a great question.
I think we're good. Yeah, that's everything. But as you know, so the craft thing, something I heard on a podcast recently got me thinking back too. They said, and I don't know if you would agree with this, but I thought it was an interesting thing anyway. They said that if you look at, say, fashion, the Italian side of things, they'll really value the handmade crafting that goes into, say, a certain type of dress or suit or a bag or whatever the case may be. But then if you look at something handmade in West, like North America or Turtle Island side, then it's like it's less value.
Mm.
But then you also kind of think of these crafts people as being men over there in Italy, maybe. I don't know. And I don't even know where I'm going with that. But I did find that kind of interesting too.
Well, what intersections are we valuing? Right?
Yeah, like why are we saying they can charge a premium because, you know, that Gucci bag, whatever, was made by some Italian dude. But like if you said so and so's mom made this bag over here, it's like
I think this is generally tied to the, you know, the single artist genius like mentality that exists in a lot of the West, and which is another reason why I love craft, is because it's often, you know, forcing us to consider conversations around making that happens in community, right? Or it happens not just through one solo genius, which is entirely a myth, right? You know, you even the art market will portray a single artist's name, but that artist is supported by, if they're fortunate, project managers, gallery assistants, install assistants, production assistants, you know, because the reality of having a practice is like takes a team, right? Which is a beautiful thing. I think it's an incredible thing. But we have to really, like, maybe that'll come if we start valuing the arts more, where we start valuing all the invisible labor happening in the arts as well. I'm not sure. But yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because usually we just think of those craftspeople as invisible.
Yeah, folks that are pushing different technologies too, right? I remember in my in a textile course years ago, we were looking at different technologies around surgery and implants, right? And how fiber technologies are used to like support internal organs, right? Or fibers that take us to space, right? So I think I'm so drawn to these mediums because it really breaks this black and white understanding about art and life, about, you know, like what is innovative, right? Yeah, because yeah.
All right, I think we're good.
Thank you for listening to Art Pays Me. Hit me up on socials at Art Pays Me pretty much everywhere and let me know what you think. I love connecting with listeners. If you're an artist looking for clothes that speak to the creative lifestyle, check out artpaysme.com. And don't forget, visit artsns.ca for more information about the Creative Nova Scotia Awards. Peace.
Legacies.